the power plant in the back. This is the first village that you encounter. It's been almost exactly a 3-hour walk without stopping from Ponferrada to whatever this little village is. And over there, of course, is the larger city I'm going to. Here are a couple of nice, what look like hostels. Not really albergues. This is an old building. It's still in use. Looks like the lower part is used as the stables, which we thought would be the case. Yeah, you can see that kind of thing. Don't know what the upstairs is used for. It's a pretty little village. I wonder what life's like living in places like this. Here's an interesting little building just as I leave this village. Notice the 2 window doors up there, their panels missing. Of course, the balcony's almost ready to cave in, supported a little bit by some temporary timbers. And here's the doors that go into the stables. Notice the door at the bottom for the cat. Pretty little town. A little monument to the bike riders made out of rebar. There's the yellow arrow giving us the hint to go ahead, and there's a smaller arrow doing the same as we leave the small town of Acebo en route to the big town down there. You wonder if this little mountain village I left has an economy pretty much now based on tourism. What then is the basis of the economy for that little village, which is not on the trail? Certain amount of cattle, I guess, but I don't see much evidence of anything else. I get a kick out of the people who can put stuff up like the Fellowship of the Camino, as though this is a profound insight that none of us can afford to not hear from Edith Linares in 2013, and yet she feels somehow able to justify putting more graffiti on a important and expensive sign. The fact that others have done it maybe makes it easier for her in her, whatever you want to call that, mindset. We're now in the next little town, Riego de Ambros. Here's a man trying to herd his goats. Don't think he's in the same condition that they're in physically. It's a pretty balcony. Here, a pretty little square out in front of this modest, relatively new Ermita San Sebastian. San Sebastian was the man who was killed by being tied to a post while the cowards shot arrows at him. My guess is that many of the people who come up here and have their homes will buy an old building like this and then completely restore the inside as a second home, or maybe even as a retirement home. There's some basic infrastructure going in. Probably water, conduit for power. That may be a sewer drain. And they may be restoring that whole building there. Would be a neat project to have done for you. Because you can imagine this part of town is going to look pretty nice when they get this road work all done. This is for sale already. Looks like a ranch or fincas. This is a farm for sale, as well as the building. But notice how well redone that house is there. No signs telling me this is the route, but I'm just going to assume it is, which is probably one reason why it's being redone. But you can see a lot of these buildings have been redone. This is going to be a pretty little mini park, if you will, between these newly redone homes. Well, the arrow's kicking me off to the left, so onward we go. Here are some arrows, different colors, but they're the one we really want. So we'll leave this little town now, thinking that, boy, it's going to be a lovely place for those who retire or those who want a second home to be. Probably little hikes is what you're into. This part of the Camino issues right out of the bottom side of that little town, and on this kind of very hard, obviously molten at one time, rock source. It's almost like a riverbed, except that you can see at one time there was a nicely done stone walkway down through here. That has been either dissolved, eroded away, or cannibalized for other purposes. You can well imagine that once upon a time somebody planted these trees in apparent rows, probably leading to a large home or something that might have been back in there. Down here in this relatively cool glade or little stream runoff. But look at the size of these trees. Only portions of them still alive. But imagine the size of the tree that trunk implies. It's an irony that just up here a little ways is where the wealthy will have their homes. We just came down from up there, but this just gives you an idea of the topography here. Very pretty down in the valleys. And I think we come around here into another town, and then we have to get up over that next ridge and then down into that to the final town for today. The town here in this little cup is Molinaseca, and here behind it is the first of two churches that I am seeing. That cupola is interesting, curious. And here, this relatively new looking church, at least certainly well maintained, and that Prussian helmet spire on top is interesting. Pretty little entrance into this town across this bridge. There's the second church we're looking at. Some kind of restaurant or something down there. Here's the classic narrow street. Presumably this was the main drag through here when it was the Camino for real. This is where I am going today. Should be over that hill. Here we get a look inside of a collapsed building, if you will. Pretty much collapsed anyway. But this would be the basement. That would be what Americans call the first floor. That may be just a little loft area. Yeah, it would be a loft. There would be the second floor. That looks like it might have been a well or something down in there. Who knows? Huh.